What's up, guys? It's the Essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation.
Shaka laka laka. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 148 of Caught in Conversation in the studio with Suplex Studios, aka J. Gibson. I am the Essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And it's so good to have you back, Nova. It's been, 3 weeks now, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. As I record this, I just finished a solo episode which was meant to be out last week. So I thought, fuck it, it's almost like a bonus episode. So that'll drop yesterday by the time you're hearing this, cheap plug. And it's nice and clear and crisp while we're doing this intro.
Crisp.
As mentioned in one of the solo episodes, I had a fuck ton of issues with Audacity. I was literally 10 versions behind. I don't know how it was still functioning. Since I've updated it, you'll notice the sound is a lot more crisp and clear, which is great. However, during the interviews and stuff now, the aircon is now a little bit more noticeable. Like when Jake's talking, it's pretty much completely non-existent, but you might hear a slight buzzing when we're still talking. Hopefully when I edit this in post, it'll reduce it a little bit. But yeah, if there's a tiny bit of buzzing, I'm sorry. It's how it's going to be from now on, at least until it cools down. The solo episode I did yesterday, by the time you hear this, I just decided to sweat balls because I was the only one in the room. So it's fine. But this interview with Jake, the interview portion is a bit buzzy. But Nova Lee, since you haven't been here for so long, I would like you to do the honours of saying the song of the week and the match of the week, and then we'll have a little explanation of why we've picked them as always. Nova Lee, what is the song? What is the match?
So the song of the week for episode 148 is Thunderstruck by AC/DC, and the match of the week for episode 148 is Jake Gibson versus A-Shack at ECW Survival of the Sickest, January 13th, 2024.
How in the fuck, Nova Lee, as we record this, it is January 16th. How in the hell has it been? Now, this conversation was a couple of nights ago with Jake as we record this, but as we do this intro, 3 days ago, which it's been over a year since the first ECW show.
It's because we like to time travel. We do it all the time.
I know what they say. I know they say time flies when you're having fun, but the fuck did that year go?
But we're constantly time traveling here on the podcast. So it makes sense, right?
It's just how? We've only had 2 shows as it is because we had the postponed November to now March of 2025 now. But, oh man, how's it been a year? But the reason I've picked this song, the reason we've picked this song is because Jake is a huge AC/DC fan. We needed something upbeat. We needed some rock music. And just as it has happened to be, today we were just doing stuff around the house with music on shuffle, and this song just came on and was just like, that would make a good song.
And we did have a big thunderstorm yesterday.
Yes, as we record this, we were meant to do the intro and outro yesterday, and I was meant to do my solo episode, which will be out by the time this is out. Was meant to be recorded yesterday, but everything's just
power outage for 7 hours. Anyway,
the guest we were meant to have instead of Jake for this episode postponed and was meant to be yesterday, and then we had to postpone that as well because of the power outage. And it's chaos here in the studio. I know we don't have an actual studio, but it's been chaos here at CIC Pod this last couple of weeks. But last few days as we record this has been fucking hectic. But the reason we've picked the match, Nova Lee, is quite obvious. We're talking about Jake's upcoming title defenses at both Suplex and, of course, Extreme Capital Wrestling. And the last 2 episodes have been Extreme Championship Wrestling focused. There's lots of ECW references in general, regardless of which company you're talking about the last few episodes. But the first ever ECW show, spoiler alert, if you don't know by now, a year later, Jake Shack, that's a new wrestler. Jake Gibson, A-Shack, advanced to the main event of our first show. Jake was crowned the first champion, as we discussed here. He's defending it for the first time now against Doomslayer. But this match is only publicly available, and this is where it becomes a little bit of a cheap plug, over on my friend DPC's YouTube channel, on the What If It's Cool YouTube channel. We did a reaction Wrestling Wednesday video with one Jake Gibson about this match and his thoughts on this match and how much he enjoyed kicking Ashak in the nats, unbeknownst to the referee. But if you buy tickets, which we will plug more in the outro, but if you get your tickets to A Hard Day's Fight, you may just get your hands on the very first DVD copy of this show. If not, go watch the reaction, because that's the only way it's available publicly. But that's why we've picked this match. We wanted to feature Jake himself and what was my personal favourite match of Australian wrestling in 2024. I know Nova Lee, the clip of you announcing Jake as the new and first ever champion is a clip that got shared around quite a fair bit after our first show. And your voice is forever immortalised in history now in Australian wrestling.
First time ever too.
First ever show, first ever champion. But yeah, that's why it's the match of the week. But I really enjoyed this show. As always, we went on many rants, or I should say I went on many rants, and unfortunately I dragged Jake along with me, and Nova Lee was left to scramble and pick up the pieces, and it is what it is. We also had a bit of fun because it'd been so long since Nova had been on the show. I let her take over, and I'm going to try and let her do it more, because I talk a lot on this show. So I feel if I give, in terms of the notes and the structure, if I throw more at Nova Lee, because I know I'm already going to talk more, let her do the important stuff. But we had a bit of a funny, when we transitioned into this episode, I trimmed obviously all the small talk with Jake out beforehand. We're just talking about technology and phones exploding and stuff, because, life. But I left a little bit of it in, of Nova Lee being thrown off of, oh shit, we're going now, and even Jake had a bit of a chuckle, but it's all good. It's CIC pod. It's organised chaos. But Nova Lee, I think what we should do is we should get into this intro. You should get into it. Do the announcement, and then we got a lot of shit to plug in this outro, Nova Lee. So with that being said, make some noise.
From Albert Studios, Sydney, representing Suplex Studios, weighing in at 92 kilograms, the current Suplex Undisputed and ECW Heavyweight Champion, the Problem Child, Jake Gibson!
The floor is yours to start this conversation. You have all the notes in front of you.
I'm not used to going first. It's weird.
That's what she said.
Wow, okay.
We are here with the current Suplex Undisputed and Extreme Capital Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, respectively, in Jake Gibson. How are you going, mate?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. So getting into this conversation, you were last on the show with John back in November of 2022, before I was even an official co-host. As mentioned, you currently have 2 heavyweight championships, I should say, as we record this. You've also been the ICW Tag Team Champion, the ICW Heavyweight Champion, and the Suplex Tag Team Champion in all that time. What has changed for you since then, and how would you say you've evolved since then?
It's a lot of information.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I was going to say, don't start listing all of my dots. We'd be here all night. But how have I changed? Well, I've gotten better, clearly. I'm hungrier than ever. Even at my age now, I've been in business for 10 years, and I'm still hungry. That hasn't gone away. I'm craving better competition because it makes me better, and that's the key motivating factor. Is I'm not getting any younger, and I want to leave my mark in the Australian industry, period.
Fair enough. I like that. That's always your go-to, is leave your mark, or something to that.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. You've always said that, and I feel like as each year goes, Jake, somehow you manage to
top
just build on
each
it a
time.
little and little. So, after 10 years to be able to do that, it's very impressive. And I believe, could be wrong here, but I think the current count, I should say, is 13 heavyweight titles or 14 heavyweight titles, all up. 15.
He's nearly at those John Cena numbers.
Oh, dude, that's insane.
I don't want to bore everyone to death by listing them. Like, I'm proud of every belt that I've won. It's always meant something to me because it means I've earned it. I don't know. Like, I've tried to do what I can when given the championship because it means I'm representing the company, and I've always tried to be loyal to that company whilst being champion and do my best to put the butts on the seats. So that's kind of been my motive, and just make Australian wrestling as good as possible. To be honest with you, as good as I can make it.
I feel like, and we'll get into it a bit later in the conversation, but your next two title defenses, respectively, for both Suplex and ECW, I feel are going to do just that, because you have banger opponents for both of those. But the main reason we've got you back on the show, Jake, is you kind of wanted to just try and, plug what you're currently doing, and I guess, I don't know if you'd call it a side hustle per se, but it's the worst kept secret in Australian wrestling right now that Suplex Studios is run by one Jake Gibson. Before we get into all the details on Suplex Studios and why you do it, was there anything that started the passion per se for editing?
I think, you know what, to be honest with you, it was because with the first company I was with, the only way I had access to footage at the time was the promoter offered me to buy some DVDs. So, like, if I had a match, he would say, okay, $10 for the DVD. Like, someone would be editing it, right? And I'm like, hey, how about I edit the DVD? I'll do it for free. Like, I'm still paying my dues. This could be a way of me paying my dues, And he goes, yeah, okay, no worries. So the only real reason I learned to edit stuff was because I wanted access to my footage without having to pay for it.
So that's very similar to we had Kerry Grow on here. He's a wrestler from America, and he does a lot of graphic design. And he was pretty much in the same thing. He said that it's with graphic design. It was just he needed something to do, and just kind of out of necessity bought this hobby, and now it's turned into like a full blown thing. And that's kind of, I guess, in a way that's kind of what you described there, almost out of necessity, really, just so you could see. But I feel that, right? Like, I only wrestled, and I use that term loosely. I shit on myself all the time, but I wrestled for 3 years. I've probably seen like a third of my own matches in that 3 years, and it's the same thing, man.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is I was kind of disappointed with not with the effort, but like you used to WWE or American promotions with it, all glitz and glamour, huge productions. Even if you were to buy the event on DVD or whatever, you get the extra features and stuff like that. With Australian wrestling DVDs, and across the board, because I bought a lot of them when I first broke in, just to sort of get familiar with what was happening around. Because you know how hard it is to backtrack in Australian wrestling, like the history of it. Whatever I would get, it would just be the live event, no commentary track, just, each segment as they were live on the show, and then that's the end of the DVD. That's it. And, like, I don't know, I just always felt that was far too bare bones, and, like, there could be so much more, backstage interviews, just storyline elements that, just small things like that. They really keep you interested, not just a bunch of random matches for the sake of it. But that's just me,
I completely agree with that, because there's some companies that don't even release footage because they're like, oh, it's not fair to the people that were there live. I'm like, yeah, paying $20 to sit front row is great, but if you pay, say, $10 for a DVD, you can watch this DVD as many times as you like, right? And at the end of the day, that comes down to the production. The better the production, the more likely you are to go back and watch said DVD, and maybe even charge an extra $5 for said DVD to add just the commentary. And you have well and truly gone above and beyond, because you're always sending me stuff privately, and some of the little just bits and pieces that you've added, the extras that you've added here and there on these DVDs or YouTube videos or whatever specific project you're working on, you always go above and beyond to just add that little bit of add that little bit extra. And to me personally, that's the stuff that I appreciate. Is if you're going to go back and watch it in digital format, it needs to have that, especially in this day and age. It needs to have that little bit extra, whatever that may be, varying from project to project.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, whenever you watch something on streaming, it's just the main source. Like if you've got Disney Plus on, look at what you're dealing with. You've got movies and TV shows, but how much of it is censored or removed or what have you. There's no extra content, and not like that's a big deal breaker by any means. But when I grew up, it was all about VHS and DVD, and you always had these reasons for buying these, DVDs to begin with, because you were expecting to have something extra to come along with the movie. And like, particularly with Australian wrestling, I always thought it would be a great idea because it's just a month-to-month format for the wrestling companies, right? One show a month. Why not throw something bonus on there to get the fans excited, to get them to want to come back? Just sprinkle some extra stuff on top. I mean, more content. What could possibly go wrong with that? I don't know. Like when I edited, say, High Octane show, I was given just raw footage, and I had a vision or anything like that. But I've edited enough throughout the years where I'm gonna do custom nameplates. I'm gonna try and spruce up the logo a bit, brand new intro, just ramp up the production as much as possible, so that if someone does buy this DVD, they're gonna want to watch it again and again. Or they might get so excited that they'll buy tickets to the next show just from watching the DVD. They want to be a part of the experience.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. It's kind of a generic question, but I'm just curious myself. What's been the most challenging thing for you when it comes to editing, whether it be for DVDs or YouTube or whatever, but just editing shows in general?
All right, hiding the botches.
But see, that again comes down to production, where if they have, a multitude of camera angles to choose from, it can help you a lot easier.
That would be handy, wouldn't it? Yeah. Now, and some of them are completely unavoidable, which is kind of scary. Yeah, but it's like I've been, I've edited a few shows here and there where like someone's gone for a punch, they're a mile away, and they've sold it, but you can see there was no contact, and it's like, oh fuck, how do I get around this? Or even not even so much that, but once you sort of like cut around it to make it just quickly come and go, like it's a quick edit, so like you don't really pick up on it. How do you edit the rest of the footage around? Like if there's a separate commentary track, you've got to cut and slice that and move things around and have that resynced and stuff like that. So that sort of thing, the less botches, the better, but no one's perfect. But let's be honest, I'm not going to complain. I'm happy doing it still, but that's probably like the speed bump in the editing process there.
What for you is the funnest or perhaps the most rewarding part when you go through and edit stuff?
Just bringing my imagination to life, depending on the event. But let's just say I worked on the Suplex 6th anniversary show. Just more little details like in the nameplates. Whenever they came up on the screen, they'd be like little fireworks. And just little shit like that, just to make the show unique and still special. And I had a lot of creative control in regards to the production of that show outside of the event footage. I added in, top 5 moments of Suplex history. I did everything, the graphics, I picked that footage myself. I just ran it through the promoter, and he was cool with pretty much everything. And that was one of my favorite shows I've edited because I've just been able to really, like I said, bring that show to life and make it mean that much more, particularly because it's an anniversary show.
I enjoy that because even with, and currently there's only been one match publicly, which is yourself versus A-Shaq, but even with the survival of the Sickles footage, we talked a little bit when we did the reaction to that, cheap plug, it's on YouTube, where you and I were kind of going back and forth and you were like, hey man, can you come up with something? And then I just threw all this shit at the wall and basically said, can you make some of this work? And it was very basic, but it was very effective when you just kind of made it pop just that little bit more.
Well, yeah, each show has its own identity, its own flavor, and like I said, it's just taking the raw footage and sort of just enhancing that style or that presentation. ECW, not to counterpart its it's the American company, but it has that sort of like gritty, grungy edge to it. It's Australian. It's Aussie Biffo with a hint of grunge. That's how I like to look at ECW. Like Extreme Capital Wrestling, and it's got that green and blue style to it, and just sort of like bringing all that to life, and just thinking around the Photoshop and stuff like that, seeing what kind of works best. Like the nameplate for fucking 5 minutes, if you can change the colors and stuff like that, and add little graphics on it. I've got good editing software. Yeah.
So moving into the actual business part of things, how did you come up with the name Suplex Studios?
ChatGPT.
So just moving into the next part, which is like just going more into the business heavy side of things, how did you come up with the name Suplex Studios?
Yeah, no, ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT. Sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said.
I thought he said excuse me as well. So there you go. We're both doing.
No.
With deaf hands.
So I had a list. Like I was writing some stuff down. I'm like, I wanted to try and start a little side hustle editing for other companies and stuff like that. But I wanted a catchy name, so I could create a Facebook profile. I had a couple of names, and I just asked ChatGPT and it kind of gave me an answer that I had already written down. And Spade might not believe me. I don't give a fuck. I have nothing to do with Suplex at all. It is a fucking coincidence. My language. And he goes, "Oh, did you have to put a German Suplex in the logo?" I'm like, "Well, it's a Suplex, and I'm in the logo. I'm not black. That's me hitting the German Suplex on Danny Steen."
I'm pretty sure, though, actually, just to correct Spade, I'm pretty sure the photo of you on Danny is actually a fisherman suplex. So it's technically different. I swear it's a fisherman.
No, it's a German. It's a German.
Is it? I swear I saw it and it looked like a fisherman. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else's logo.
Maybe.
Am I high?
100% German. I'll copyright before Spade ever copyright his fucking company, so you can't be flipping off. There you go. Yeah.
So there you go. It has nothing to do... Because I remember seeing like a little bit of banter on Facebook about it with the logo.
He gives me shit for it. Once a month, I'll fucking hear something from him. I'm like, oh, fine, I'll just call it Moon G... What did he used to call himself? Moonsault Jesus. Moonsault Jesus Studios next time. That's my next company.
Moonsault Productions.
Yes.
Moonsault Productions. Yeah.
There you go, chat. Honestly,
solid.
Very recently, I haven't even recorded it yet, but there's an episode I'm working on for ECW of the American variety, and after 147 episodes, I literally was stumped, and I did the same thing. I was like, please give me an episode title for insert, synopsis here. And it gave me like a list of like 10 things, and I was just like, da-da-da-da, me and Nova were just like, okay, that one. So it does work. It does work. It's a sound strategy if you need it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. ChatGPT to the rescue.
It's reminding me when I used to do graphic design projects for like TAFE and stuff, and they'd be like, just use a random generator, essentially the same kind of thing. So
it comes in handy when you're desperate, doesn't it? I once, I was asked to do, I met the CEO of my company for a Christmas party a few years ago, and he loved the fact that I was a wrestler. He was like, show me photos, show me footage, and all this shit. And then, after a couple of drinks, he goes, you know what? I'm putting you up on the website as an employee spotlight. I'm going to send you a form and everything, right? I spent fucking 2 hours stomped out. What the fuck? I'm supposed to answer these questions with oh, what do you think we could make this company better? Well, fuck, if I write something bad, they're going to be pissed off. Like, ChatGPT, fucking ding, write it all down. Saves my ass.
Solid.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So what is your biggest goal for Suplex Studios? Is it more of a passion project for you, or are you trying to turn it into a full-time business, job?
I'd like to grow it a lot more once I'm on the downswing of my wrestling career. Depending on what happens, but if I could, and if I put enough work in, I would definitely want it to be something along the lines of a RF video or a high spot video for Australia. They can distribute, like if they do DVDs, you can buy DVDs off the website of like any sort of local promotion that they support. Also with like bonus fucking original content, like shoot interviews, training seminars, stuff like that. I'd love to be able to expand upon that and just have connections from across Australia, like get involved and grow this thing, because we need sort of more of a central hub for Australian wrestling. The social media is good and stuff like that, but it's so broad. But if we have a specific website for this sort of thing, I think a lot of Australian wrestling fans will gravitate to it, and it will give it a chance for a lot of the boys and girls to get over with doing original content and being more personal towards the Australian wrestling fans.
I mean, I personally, like you just mentioned Jackson Spade before, and without going too off the handle and ranting, he does cop a lot of heat at times because he's a deathmatch guy. But at his core, he is a great coach. I would love to see, in the vein of like the old Raven ones or Tommy Dreamer ones, where it's, hey, here's an hour or 2 hours of Jackson Spade essentially doing a seminar, and it just happens to all be on camera, and then you edit it via Suplex Studios. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had a few people in mind. I haven't reached out to them yet because I'm just, like I said before, baby steps. He would definitely be like, even if he did a hardcore match seminar where he teaches the psychology behind the moves.
Now I want to watch it even more.
Yeah.
You're not just smacking each other in the head with chairs for no stupid fucking reason. There's a reason why you're still doing it in the match. Everything matters.
The amount of death matches that just start now with the bell rings, let's smash 10 light tubes over each other. But that's another end for another day.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. I'm just like, I've watched a hardcore match live, and I'm like, one of the guys is literally just setting up this obstacle course of chairs, right? And I'm like,
5 hours later.
Someone's going to go through it, but for fuck's sake, like, make it like more of a challenge. Like, punch the guy in the head and he sells for 10 minutes while you're setting up this fucking structure. Only to get thrown in it himself. Oh my god, I haven't seen that 1 billion times before.
You go to the bar, you go to the toilet, you come back 10 minutes later and he's still putting the last chair on, and you're just like, fuck's sake.
But, no, I've scratched my head with some of the local shit that I've seen. So, yeah, but that's, like you said, it's another story.
It's just like, give me the art of it, not just do stupid shit. Like, for the sake of doing stupid shit.
Like, you can take the whole course of the match, like, in between stuff to, like, set up this thing and have that be the climax of, it took 15 minutes between brawls and bumps, but they finally got the structure up. Like,
yeah. Wouldn't it make more sense to have him get cut off once or twice? Only for it to backfire on Lee. Instead of just the guy selling on the ground for fucking 10 minutes. And then, like, only capturing it at the last second to throw the other guy in it. Like, for fuck's sake. Be creative. It's really not that hard.
It's not. It's really not.
So what kind of content do you enjoy doing the most, Jake?
I don't know. I like sort of like with Suplex, I'm backstage a lot, and I don't get nosy with other people's matches or anything like that, but I'm happy to go up to them with a camera and be like, hey, you want to shoot a promo for this? You want to do a backstage segment? So, like, you can connect match to match to match. If they're not directly involved in anything, they can have 30 seconds to a minute to at least try to have their matches sort of all make sense. It could be, not an A, B, or C storyline, but, like just something to connect them from show to show. And there's a reason why they're wrestling this person. That's the funnest part for me. Like, it's the creative flow. I love sticking my teeth into it, to be honest. But I love giving guys the opportunity to not just go out there and wrestle, but, like, connect with the audience, which a lot of them can be very scary for because they're not very good talkers on the microphone, or they're not very confident yet because a lot of them are still new, but giving them a chance to be backstage and having a camera to just play their character and watching it back on the YouTube show, that's very rewarding.
It's like giving them that chance to kind of just come out of their shell a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, just give them some airtime to get comfortable in front of the camera.
So this is very like a lot of people could like be very self-serving with this kind of stuff and be like, I'm the one that's editing this and I'm gonna make myself look like $1 million, brother. But Jake's going out of his way to be like, oh, you get in front of the camera.
I still do that too.
You're humble as hell,
Don't worry,
dude.
I'm always putting myself over. Don't worry.
It's good because you're just bettering the business like you want to do. Like that's the best thing.
It really
you can
is
do.
though, and
yeah.
And Jake made a good point, not to harp on it too much, but like the whole point of this is a lot of people just go, okay, there'll be like one or two people that'll maybe edit their footage, but usually it's just, okay, one company does one thing. Like when was the last time anyone in the same state worked together with this particular like subject, let alone going, hey, all of Australia, let me do this, because it's in a digital age you can do that. Like, but how has no one thought to do this before? It just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Like, it seems so simple, doesn't it?
I don't know, man. It's just I've always had my finger on the pulse when it comes to that sort of stuff, and I'm not saying it to put myself over, but there's so much more to Australian wrestling than what there currently is, and I mean that like the characters. We've got some of the best characters in the world, I think, in Australian wrestling, and I don't care if you know you're the best athletic wrestler in the country. There's some of the best characters. You know, like, fuck, where do I begin? Dean Draven was always, I've always looked up to him. You know, that sort of like, I don't know, how do you put it? Like that working man, fucking kick-ass working man sort of character, you know, like, very realistic, down to earth, very easy to get behind, you know? Or I could start listing off names, but, you know, like, we've got so many characters in this country, and I don't want to call them characters, but like, the personalities behind the people that play these roles, you know? Once they're in the spotlight, man, they're as good as anything that could be on TV. And they just need an opportunity to get over and get in front of the crowd and get the crowd to be invested in them. Because like I said before, like the formulas of the way the promotions run, it's month to month. If you don't make every single month, show, you might miss out on some storytelling. There might not be any storytelling at all because it's hard to stretch from month to month. So why not have a platform to get these personalities over? Yeah.
So just going into like my next question.
That'll segue quite well,
yeah,
actually.
quite well. How can people approach you for getting work done, whether that be DVDs, YouTube, or whatever else that they need done?
Well, just either my shoot page, those who know. Otherwise, there's the Jake Gibson page on Facebook, or I do have a Suplex Studios page as well. I run 3 different accounts. Hit me up on any one of them. I'm more than happy to help out. I think, especially with Australian wrestling, DVDs are still a very viable option. I know it's getting phased out because of streaming, but a streaming platform for local Australian wrestling is not going to work. It's going to be far too unsustainable content-wise. Depending on who's in charge of it. And I think there's actually a company in Victoria that do a sort of smaller version of a streaming platform, or at least an app. But I think with New South Wales and ACT, you can still have your DVDs, or at least you can buy them online, or you can have downloadable versions, to your hard drive. They're still very viable options, and once you buy them, they're yours. They don't get taken away, and there's no monthly fee. So I don't see the issue in paying $10 for a DVD as opposed to $10 a month, and then you want to watch something again and it's gone.
No, definitely, because I know on Horizon currently, MCW have shows, and they're only like, I think, $12, and you can watch it as many times as you want. But again, if, Lord forbid, anything ever happens to the site, it's like, that money's gone. Whereas if you have the physical copy, or as you said, even just a download link to where you can download it and put it on one of your devices, it's there forever. It's
exactly.
A very...
Exactly.
Again, I don't want to discount the work you're doing because it's not easy work, but it's a very simple thing that just boggles my mind that it's taken this long for someone to put their hand up and be like, hey, I can do ABC here. But You kind of mentioned before that, a little bit of the outline of what you want to do in terms of basically, I guess for lack of a better term, an Australian version of high spots is probably the easiest way to understand for the hardcore, like, internet wrestling fans. But you've said to me, and you did a post on socials on the Suplex Studios page a little while ago, where you basically said you wanted it to be like a hub for Australian professional wrestling. But in a few words, for those not overly familiar, you've kind of given your mission statement, so to speak, of what your goal is. But how would you sum up Suplex Studios to wrestling fans that may recognize the word suplex as a wrestling reference, but for those not overly familiar, how would you describe it to them, if that makes sense?
Well, what I want Suplex Studios to be, let's just say you're a fan and you go, our fans like to float about from show to show, and that's fine. No issue with that. But, they see some particular of their favourite wrestlers, but then they've got to wait a month. Or what if that show gets cancelled and they've got to wait more time, What if these wrestlers that they like seeing live have, shoot interviews, extra content, you just want to get your fix, and there's no more shows coming up for a while. There's going to be a lot of the companies like to say November is a very popular month for things to stop running. There are a few in December, but generally November. And you want to watch more stuff, or you want to rewatch, or, something that you've been to. You can just go onto one website, or I don't know if I'm going to have my own website yet, I don't know. But you can just go to Suplex Studios, and you can find, a back catalogue of wrestling content. And not only that, but you might discover some new things too. So you might want to try some new things. Like something that we've been working on is Pro Wrestling Goldman.
Yes.
Right? That has never been released to the public, and I think that has been one of the most absolutely stacked rosters in New South Wales and ACT the last 5 years, 6 years, however long it's been. You get the two shows that we're working on. You've got Mr. Juicy, you've got Genghis Kong, you've got Keegan, you've got myself, you've got so many big Australian names. And this is when I was still, a year or two into the business. I was mid-card level, still figuring stuff out. So for those who are familiar with me now, might want to check out, what I was like, before I was ready for the main event spot. And similar progression. I've always found it to be very interesting. It's like you watch your Bryan Danielson matches now. Well, I've got some DVDs of him when he was in Ring of Honor. And it's the contrast, and you've seen the growth of that person. You'll have that option on there, as well as depending on what I can get on there. But I'd love to have training seminars from some of the best coaches in the country on DVD, so you can just sit there in the comfort of your own home, and if you want to just educate yourself and study, pop it on your DVD player or whatever you have, and just sit there for 2 hours and listen and soak it in. It's a different wrestler's perspective. Like if you're in New South Wales, you can get Damien Slater's stuff. I'm just spitballing, of course, but because he's not in the same state, you're not going to get those same lessons. So if you buy content from him, that's something that could be exclusive.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of what he does for free, so I can't imagine what would be on his actual Patreon for paid stuff. But he's all the way over in Perth, which is literally the most isolated city in the entire world, not even just Australia. It's pretty far out of the way, and through the power of the internet and social media and everything else, he's able to have this platform. So you having this platform would be just amazing, really. And without giving too much spoilers, we have been instructed by the people involved for the Pro Wrestling Gold and stuff that while, yes, we're going to be calling the matches as commentators, we are going to be doing it as a retrospective kind of thing. So I will be mentioning that in the 7 years since this event, that Jay Gibson has won 15 heavyweight championships, etc., etc. But I think I'm more nervous for that than I've been for any live show ever. Which is weird because I can just rewind and go back and no one will know that I've stuffed up. But I'm very nervous about doing this because I want to, especially the fact that you have welcomed me to be part of your team. I want to do the best that I can do for you because I know that the editing, from what I've skimmed through, is already ridiculously well done.
Oh man, I'm facing like, and like you said, you can always just go back and cover it up. Like I do that all the time. I've done commentary for a bunch of promotions. Thank fuck none of them were live. Since I've been able to just go back and do some different lines and stuff. Like don't give me a live microphone unless it's installed in the crowd. I can't call matches.
I think once the red light is on, so to speak, Nova and I will be cooking. But it's just this thing of, oh god, for some reason there's just more pressure on me than having a live mic, which makes no sense. But switching gears just a little bit, Jake. Coming up,
sure.
Suplex, February 8th, Season 3, Chapter 1. You have a huge title defense coming up, and like I use that word a lot on this show talking about matches, but it's just the testament to the talent we have in this country, hence why Jake's trying to do Suplex Studios as well. But JB has a namestay in Suplex Professional Wrestling. In terms of the Suplex universe, dare I say, I know people think that the word universe is tacky in wrestling, but it's the best I can think of right now. Within like the realm of Suplex, this is a marquee match. How did you find out about JB being your opponent, and what's going through your mind leading up to that? Because no pressure, right?
Well, he came back 2 months ago for a one-off, and I always thought highly of him. Like he carried the company. Pretty much the 1 year hiatus I had with Suplex, he was their guy, and I'd always keep my eye on stuff whilst away, and fuck yeah, I want to wrestle that guy. And so when he came back, like I watched his match with Zero, and they stole the show. No joke. They've taken JP's been away for about maybe 2 years. And Zero's about 1 year, and it's like they never even left. And I thought, fuck yeah, I want to wrestle that guy, and now's my chance. And I don't think I enticed him really, but I mentioned that to him, like, hey, if you ever can come back, I want to wrestle you. And lo and behold, they just put a graphic up without even saying anything to me. Oh, look, JB fucking has it. All right, well, shit, okay. Now I've got to study. That being said, like, he's fucking talented. He's charismatic. The Suplex faithful days fucking love him. But, I'm the mainstay. I'm the champ. I've got double the amount of experience. I don't think he stands a chance.
Ooh, fair enough.
Fine words there.
No, but again, like, I'm not even just trying to put Jake over here, or but I'm a massive fan of JB Hazard. I was a big fan of his partner as well when she was around before she retired. I'm just putting this out there. JB, hit me up. But not trying to blow smoke or anything. I cannot wait for this match because I just cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see. I'm assuming you're going to be editing that, so hopefully for peace of mind it will be end still. Otherwise, it's going to be a very bittersweet moment while editing it. But I cannot wait to see that footage when it's released, man, because this and it might seem biased because it was a company that I worked for, but genuinely, your match of A-Shack last year was my favourite match of 2024 in Australia. You've got Doomslayer coming up for ECW, which Nova will touch on in a minute, but JB has it. This match here, this is where it's only, it will be 2 months in, the start of the second month even, a month and a bit. You have potential right now. You have just released, Jay Gibson, a Best of Suplex 2024, cheap plug. This right here could be the match of the year in 2025 for Suplex. This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to be a mark. I'm not trying to suck up, but I genuinely think with the talent that both of you have, I think this could, not even just Suplex, it could be one of the best matches, again, in the country. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. I don't think everyone will agree with that, but, I'll certainly give it my all. I think I plugged the match as certified banger, because, that's what my expectations of this match is going to be. But, what I consider a banger and what he considers a banger could be very different. My version of a banger is me beating the shit out of him for 20 minutes. So, I might see it differently, but that's how it's going to go down. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to be nice to him. There's no point. I'm the fucking champ. And all this shit I got going with Benny breathing up my ass for no fucking reason. He called me out, but Tim gave me the night off on the Christmas show because I'm the champion. I deserve some time off. But then he decides to come out and shit talk me on the microphone in front of the crowd. So I've got that to deal with, and JB hasn't. So 2-on-1, I don't care. They can. There's no chance. I'm sorry, JB. You've got to go back. Go back to the Suplex training school. Get your bumps and your rolls in. Warm yourself up. Do a couple of push-ups here and there, and maybe you'll be like the back of the line. But so I'm happy I've got the match. It's just going to be another former champion that I've beaten.
You do have to wonder, though, before Nova takes over to her next question. You talked about how it was like JB and Zero had never gone away, and not to discount that. Those guys know each other very well, though. They have that natural chemistry because they've been former opponents. They know each other inside out. Not wrestling Jake Gibson, not wrestling regularly for 2 years while Jake Gibson has been accumulating heavyweight titles all over the state. Is there going to be ring rust for JB in this particular state? I know the Suplex have just opened the Suplex Arena and the new training facility, and that's all well and good. But we're what? 2.5 weeks out?
Yeah.
3 weeks out? Is that enough time to prep for this Jake Gibson, who, as he said, and it's not even, in year after year after year, it's like a fine wine. He just keeps getting better and better and better. That's a super tacky cliche, but it was the first thing that popped in my head. Has JB bitten off more than he can chew? And again, I'm a massive fan of JB, but I think, as you said, 2 years off. Yeah, he had a match with Zero. That's great, but they've had banger after banger after banger. What's it going to be like stepping in to the main event into the Lions Den almost with a hungry Jake Gibson? It makes you think. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? He might be able to keep up with me athletically, but there's one thing that I definitely know he's rusty on, and that is he will not be able to withstand my mind game. I am great at picking my opponents apart by fucking with their head. It's well known. I can stand there, I can taunt them, I can get them on the ground, I can fucking contort their bodies however I want possible. I can take advantage of the referee, I can take advantage of the rules. He hasn't studied any of that. He's got chemistry with Zero, that's fantastic. They put on a banger, that's fantastic. But he is not ready for Jake Gibson.
Okay, that sounds like fighting words to me, but hey, coming into the main event as the champ, that's... Honestly, I would expect nothing less from Jake Gibson, but Nova, would you like to take over here?
So, moving on from that, on March 1st at Extreme Capital Wrestling, for the third show, you'll be defending your ECW Heavyweight Championship against Tasmania's Doomslayer, who we've had on the show recently, and as well as, in our opinion, it's a pretty big match. What can we expect from you in that?
Me winning.
Short answer.
I love the confidence. I do. I love the confidence.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. But I admire that he somehow has the finances to travel across this country and being in a multitude of promotions, high-profile matches too. So he's racked up a lot of experience. And you know what? I'm excited. I love a challenge. These next two matches of mine is exactly what I've been wanting. Real challenges. Doomslayer, I've got high hopes for. And that means, like, if you want me to, I'm not scared, but man, I'm going to come in prepared. Because I know this guy is not a joke. I know, maybe somewhere else he'll be a great champion, but not in ECW. Put it that way.
He is a former North-esque champion in TCW, for whatever that may or may not be worth to you. But, again, I appreciate that.
Any territory that's mine, I don't care. Stay out of it. This is, you know what? Okay. If ECW, introduced a new, tag team championship or a singles championship, go for it. Stay the fuck out of my division.
Fair enough.
That's that makes sense.
I think that'll segue kind of into your next question, Nova.
Can we expect you to hijack the show once again when we do the preview for the show, as you have done in previous episodes?
Hijack the show? Be specific. What are you talking about?
We have done, obviously this is our third show because Hard Day's Fight was originally postponed.
Yes.
We have received audio clips from ECW management for both of our preview episodes saying, hey, play this. And there's been a handful of different wrestlers, but in both of those episodes...
It's been you, buddy.
And including when it was originally A-Shack in November before it was changed, Jay Gibson is no stranger to... and very violently telling his opponents what he thinks of them on this podcast.
Well, look, just think of me as an angry bulldog, marking my territory. That's why I'm doing it. It's a warning to anyone that wants to come in and take me on and take my title. It's not going to happen. All right? Flynn Slayer, JV Hazard, maybe they can wrestle each other at some point down the line. Good for them. If it's against me, I'm sorry. You're dreaming.
I do actually want to see that, though, Doomslayer versus JB. But I if nothing else, we appreciate the, dare I say, ratings we get when we post the Jay Gibson said this, and it gets some pretty decent numbers, but so far you've proved yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'd like to think I fucking mean something in this business. I've been around long enough. I've dealt with a lot of shit over the years, I've stuck around. The fucking soft cocks that get into a fight backstage and then they're pissed off, I don't treat this business like it's fucking high school. This is a sport. This is a passion. This is a discipline. And it's the thing that I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. So I'm not here to fuck around and play games. I'm here to win belts and become somebody. And leave my fucking mark.
At the end of the day, Jake, one thing I always say, like, I know I was never somebody, but at the end of the day, regardless of how people feel any different way about each other or a company or whatever, this is a business. This is the professional wrestling business. And I wish there was more people in this country, and damn sure New South Wales and around, that looked at that the same way you did as a business and took it seriously. Because while we'll never get rid of the schoolyard bullshit, it would certainly be minimized a lot more than it is. And no, again, you may rub people the wrong way with how blunt you've been, but again, for myself, and I know for Nova as well, I appreciate that. You're a straight up dude that, hey, look, when that bell rings, you're going to poke people in the eye, you're going to kick them in the balls. Fair enough. But outside of that, you're going to take that company and you're going to carry it on your fucking back. And I give you props to that, regardless of which company it is.
That's what I mean. Any company that's given me an opportunity, I will wave that flag. Because this is Australian wrestling. And even some promoters out there, I don't give a fuck who I get hit from, but I'm fine. They don't act like it's a professional business. I've been told by promoters that it's a passion project. No, it's the Australian wrestling industry. If this was all some bullshit passion project, the WWE would be picking us off one by one. They're watching us. American companies, like companies from around the world have been watching Australia. And if you want to associate yourself with the Bush League, the fucking Kmart cosplayers of the world, go for it. But I'm not here to fuck around, like I said. I don't plan on moving to America. I'm nearly 35. There's no way that's going to happen. I've got 2 kids. I can't just move to America and make a living over there. But I sure as hell can be one of the best wrestlers in this country. And that's what I want to do. I want to be one of the best wrestlers in this country. And I will do it. Like, I've got 2 kids, like I said, so I'm on a limited, time. But in the time that I have, I study wrestling. I go to the gym. I try to go to training as often as I can. I give this business fucking everything because that's what it is. It's a business. So it's about time the people that half-ass the opportunity, people that don't take this business seriously, fucking wise up and either go away and let the opportunities go to those who deserve it, or actually do something with those opportunities and do something with their lives and become serious fucking athletes.
I 100% agree with all that. Like, look, I sit here now, I'm 108 or 109 kilos, whatever. My cardio's up to shit. I'm medically retired, right? So I have somewhat of an excuse, but the amount of people I see that are in worse shape than I am trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm a wrestler and not doing any of what you just said pisses me off. Honestly, almost on a daily basis at this point. And even Nova, who, she's a wag in a lot of ways, and now you've moved into the business as a ring announcer. Even Nova, as a ring announcer and colour commentator and whatever else, has sat there going, why is this person not doing this, or why is this person not doing that? When
just fucking train, dude. Like,
but yeah,
fucking excuses.
But no,
you're not gonna fuck around. I don't get it. Like, are you pursuing something that you've loved since you were a kid, or are you gonna fuck around? And like, I've gone to training sessions at some places where they're all hanging out on the outside of the ring, fucking vaping and talking. Well, what the fuck are you doing there? Get in the ring, do some bumps, do some rolls, do some chain sequences, learn some shit, get better.
Yeah, well,
one thing I will definitely say about PWA, I love my time there because they made me fucking nervous. I put so much pressure on myself being there because everyone that was there was so hungry. And when Robbie Eagles or fucking Ricky South or whoever else spoke, you shut the fuck up and you listen. And you always walked away from a training session learning something new. That's how it should always be.
I will just say, before Nova goes into her next question, before we just go on a massive rant, because Jake, I know you and I have had these rants many times off air, but when I went up to Queensland to a certain promotion, I did a seminar with Craven. Now, I know that sounds like a name drop, it kind of is. I learnt so much from that dude because he's extremely fucking knowledgeable. But it's the same thing, right? That was, 5 years ago now. And there was people, same thing, people that didn't want to pay their money or didn't think that they could learn something from Craven. Imagine that, first of all. But we're sweating, we're fucking, he's blowing us up with the cardio because he's in excellent shape, right? And I've got people it was a lot heavier at the time. I was about 115, 116 kilos. So I'm sweating, I'm huffing, I'm puffing, and I got this skinny little fucking dude laughing at me on the outside of the ring who's not even part of the seminar, and I'm just like, those types of people are still all over this business in all different states, and I just don't understand why. That's all I wanted to say.
You know why? Because lazy fucking promoters who are cheap will book anyone that wants to work for free and put no effort in, so they fill up the card, and they ruin it for the wrestlers that want to take it seriously, and they ruin it for the passionate fans that want to come and support it.
Absolutely.
They ruin it for the product too. The promoters are doing themselves an injustice of getting people that aren't trained, and it looks like shit. It's just it's not looking like a good
ruining
product.
it for themselves.
Yeah, essentially.
But Nova, would you like to move on and get back on track and talk about Jake's business before Jake and I just go on another hour-long rant?
So we've
okay with that.
We've got time, right?
No, legit, I was doing a roll or something, and by that point we'd been going for an hour and a half, and I slipped on a roll, which is the basic fucking thing, right? But I tripped on a roll, and it's this fat guy can't even do a roll. Mind you, I'd done an hour and a half's worth of drills and shit up to that point, but
Dude, I remember being in a training session, and someone got critiqued. A wrestler, not a trainer, got critiqued for how he put someone in a headlock, right? His feet positioning was wrong. And the trainer's switch your feet. And he's like, no, this is how I do it.
This is...
Christ.
Okay. Superstar, okay.
I need to remember to tell Jake a certain story off air before I go too far, but doing moves from the wrong side, and but this is how I feel more comfortable doing. Shut the fuck up. Nova, please.
So with all that being said, do you have any current projects for Suplex Studios that you'd like to plug or that you're allowed to talk about before we get into all the official plugs for social media and everything else?
Well, the Best of Suplex 2024 will be out on the 8th of February at the show at the Suplex Arena in Newcastle. I can't remember the bloody address off the top of my head, but I will also be looking at least having an online store through my Facebook page for those who want it directly mail ordered or want the digital download, I'll be trying to get that set up. So Pro Wrestling Goldberg, all their shows will be in the works soon, thanks to Crossfire as well, playing part in that. So I'm not sure about them specifically when they'll be released. I'm also working on the first ECW show. That should be available come March 1st at the show. That's a fucking fantastic show. Mixed, for those who aren't aware of this, there's a mixed bag of Sydney, Victorian, and ACT talent. It was a fantastic show, honestly, top to bottom.
I need to make a note to make sure I have the cash for that, because I want a copy of that, because that was a banger show. That really was.
Mm-hmm. And I even went to the point of that, including your podcast about that show. Just a small, 5-minute clip of it, as a bonus content. Plus, promos from the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Or, I've got 20 minutes extra on the disc, may as well fill it up with something, And, so there's definitely some valuable content on there. What else is there? That might be it for now, but I definitely want to expand a lot more on that as the months go by. See how it goes.
So, as we record this, Jake, you've done a handful of compilations of your own stuff here and there, which we've talked about, and we talked a little bit about it on the reaction as well with the VHS copy and stuff. But you've done obviously the best of for Suplex, as you mentioned, which will be officially released on the night of season 3, chapter 1. But you've done best ofs for I said C Factor, CJ Young and She-Wolf as well.
Yeah.
How many what's usually the ballpark for you to say, you're going to have the best of Suplex or whatever? What's usually the ballpark for you, in terms of how many of those do you produce to take to a show? 10, 15?
Depending on interest. So, it just depends. With Suplex, I've prepared 15.
Okay.
Just to see what number we'll gauge, I'm not expecting them to sell out. So it'd be fantastic if they did, by the way. But, if 3 or 4 sell, then I know they're not going to be crazy popular. Or sell them at a cheaper, cheaper rate or something like that. As for, if I do something for the boys, it entirely depends on how much they want. I do charge them a fee initially up front just to create it from scratch. That includes the cover and the disc itself and the contents in the disc. And then, say, $10 per, copy. But like I said, with them, if they ask 10, I'm happy to make 10. Because they're going to make their money back after selling half, And then, but, you know what I mean? With what I charge for the boys, what they sell at the show, they'll more than make back after a couple of sales.
Without going into full-blown, details and business stuff, is there a ballpark of a standard order if someone was to contact you to be like, hey, can you make this show or best of? What are we kind of looking at?
No, just whatever they want, really. It totally depends on what
if I was to say, if I was to get 10 copies of the worst of John Crossfire, because that's what I'm going to call it when it's eventually made. If I was to say, hey, Jake, 10 copies of that, without giving, you don't have to give exact numbers if you want. Your prices, what's mid-range,
rough quote kind of thing.
With a rough ballpark for someone to have an idea. That's
Well, let's just say $50 just the initial creation of the disc, and say maybe about $10 per copy.
Okay. So you got kind of
that's what you're trying to get. If that's what you're trying to get to initially, sorry.
No. I was trying to word it without saying I'm going to charge you $110 plus tax. No, it's so
a rough
so the startup fee is affordable. Affordable. Times are tough right now, but that is a pretty standard price, especially considering the work that you do put into these. So so essentially it's more a startup fee, and then it's $10 per extra. Okay.
I know some places just for editing they charge $100 up front, and they don't include a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to entice people. I'm going to put the effort in for a slightly smaller margin, but I'm going to still make it reasonable for myself. I'm not going to kill myself for hours on end just to get footage out there for fucking next to nothing. make it best for both parties at least. No,
I feel that. I've been without like going on a rant. I've been ghosted for the better part of a month for some graphic design work that I did myself, and I'm just like, come on, man! Like my prices are cheap as fuck compared to if you went to a quote professional.
And you're gonna value your time.
Yes, no, I definitely, and I will say, like,
Definitely.
when people come to ECW on March 1st, and obviously Suplex as well, because it's on, the artwork has been released on socials now, but we obviously have been privy to the artwork for the Survival of the Sickest DVD Nova, and it does look, pardon the pun, it looks fucking sick. Like, it looks so good. And Jake, you've kind of, shown me some little tidbits behind the scenes of what you have included in terms of the promos and stuff like that from the wrestlers, and honestly even just seeing those little snippets I can attest to the amount of work that Jake does put in, and I would highly recommend that if people even if it's not DVDs, if you just need to get your footage out there on YouTube or whatever,
good
hit
quality.
up Jake, because his work is amazing, and I can, like, as someone that's been watching Suplex shows from the very beginning, with all due respect to people that may or may not have been editing prior, it is absolutely night and day. And again, I'm not trying to blow smoke. I'm just, as someone that's legally blind and all I work with is shapes and colours, the shapes and colours are a lot more sharper since Jake Gibson took over.
I'll send you some money after the show.
But with that being said, Jake, where can we find both yourself and Suplex Studios on social? Say that 5 times fast. And do you have any merch yourself currently?
Well, you can find my wrestling page on Facebook, Jake Gibson Pro Wrestler. That's pretty straightforward. And then Suplex Studios as well on Facebook. And I've got Instagram. Shit, what was the handle? Jake Gibson _ shoot name rental. That I don't really use as much, but I'm just on Facebook. Merch-wise, oh god, I've got a couple of posters here and there, some Insurgency posters, some Metal Militia posters. I've got a couple of stickers left over, nothing fancy. And my what was it called? The Decade of Defiance DVD. So like that was my first project that really made me want to get into this. And it's got like 2 DVDs worth, 12 matches. Hard to cram, more than that. Of course, 3 DVDs is a bit ridiculous. I'm not trying to shove me down other people's throats, but that was a cool little project. Starts off with me probably about 6 months into my wrestling career, and ends with me pretty much, from up at that point in time, probably the last month prior. So like a good mixed bag of like young Gibby, like with the denim shorts and the shirt. What my wife always laughs about is each match you can watch my hair get slightly longer.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, that was
it
pretty
takes
fun.
so long, but I'd love to see like a 5-minute video of like just those clips of just zoomed in on just.
Well, I put in, Christ, what was it, a couple months ago, I did, those Instagram videos where they do, like, a highlight of wrestlers, like, throughout the years from a young age to, like,
yep.
I did my own one, and the number one comment on that was, fuck, this guy's hair got long. It's like a 40-second montage, and it's just short hair, medium hair, longer hair, super long hair. I was like, fuck, okay. That's what you're paying attention to. Cool.
I love that. I do love that. But I would say, like, obviously it'd be a lot of work, but you joke about not wanting to do 3 discs. This is going to sound super marky, but literally I say off camera, but it's an audio only podcast. But off camera from when I'm looking at you, I've got like my wrestling DVDs over there. And there's so many WWE DVDs where there's 3 discs, because the first disc is like just the documentary, and then it's disc 2 and 3 are like matches. I personally would love to see, whether it's Jake Gibson or elsewhere, I would love to see that as part of Suplex Studios for the projects. And obviously I'm assuming that, that'd be a lot of time and effort for the people involved to do the filming and stuff, and probably more money from Jake because it's more effort. But I'd love to see stuff like that where, hey, take that Decade of Defiance and, hey, add an extra like little bonus disc of basically, a 40-minute documentary or whatever of going through that whole decade. I would love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if people cared that much, I'll definitely try and do something like that in the future. But docos are another thing that I want to do, but I'm being very meticulous about my approach because I don't want to waste time, money, resources, stuff like that. For shoot, I'd love to do one on Benny.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Well, even High Octane, right? It's a cheap plug, but 2018, yep, quick math, Western Warfare 4. Those dudes were following him around for 3 days with the camera. And the final edit is like 15, 16 minutes long, which I get because they had like a certain quota they had to fit in. But I'm like, if James was able to get hold of their footage and then be like, hey, Jake, can you do like a, dare I say, like a director's cut? And like, yeah you're still not going to use the whole 3 days, but just push it to 40 minutes. I feel like the stuff you'd see in there would just be amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Yeah. And when was the last time you saw a documentary on an Australian... Like, there's The Young and the Wrestlers documentary for people that want to watch it. It's on YouTube. It is a good documentary, but I literally, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything Australian-wise unless you go back to the documentaries that are based on, like, the 70s and 80s and I think early 90s. There's a couple of documentaries on, like, the WCW Australia stuff, but there's nothing local in terms of documentaries.
No. And that's one of the key reasons why I want to do stuff like this, is because, you know, docos particularly, you really get to know the person behind the wrestler. And it's that relatability that really makes you connect with them, you know, because wrestling fans want to live vicariously through the wrestlers. They want to lose themselves in the experience watching us wrestle live, and having a documentary, like, I've got a fuck ton of them up here, you know, like from my DVD stand. And, you know, guys that you grew up watching, if you get to sit down and see how they grow up, and it doesn't need to be anything crazy or overly spectacular, but you get to see the human side of them. You know, it's really something special, and I think that can be very beneficial in Australia, like you said, you know, and particularly, you know, guys like Benny, hell, the Muzdog, you know, hometown hero to Suplex Heavyweight champion, you know, stuff like that, you know. There's a countless amount of talent out there that have a good story that needs to be told, that can definitely get them connected to an audience and have them, you know, become like hometown heroes, or just, you know, give them that extra something special that makes us more, you know, like when we were kids, we looked at wrestlers like they were like superhuman, you know? It's that same sort of thing.
Like,
and I think that would be... Yeah.
This is going to, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, this is going to sound super fucking vain, but like literally as you're talking about like Benny and he's come back from injury and Muzdog, like even myself, like I don't know who'd fucking watch it, but like I've been on ABC News now and I've done articles and stuff like that, and stuff that can't even talk about that it's hopefully be out soon in terms of like articles and stuff. But I would love, like, if I ever somehow, Lord forbid, get cleared to even just have one match and end it on my terms, I'd like to kind of be like, hey, here's this little thing and this is what I've gone through, and I'm a shit wrestler, but that's okay because I'm still human and this is why I'm human. Like, I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, fucking A, exactly. It's the story, man. It's that thing of you overcoming that huge obstacle, and like your passion for the business hasn't stopped you from still wanting to do it. You know, like everyone has a version of that in their own life. Everyone. I don't care how far someone makes it in the business, whether they don't leave their home promotion or they make it all the way to the WWE. Like every wrestler has a story to tell.
Absolutely, and this is like, without going around, that's kind of why I started this podcast, because I was like, I'm not gonna be like a Chris Van Vliet or fucking, you know, who's someone I can throw out that's not wrestling related. Larry King. Like, I'm not gonna be like a famous interviewer, but I want people who wouldn't, you know, per se get a chance to tell their story, and obviously you're doing the same with Suplex Studios. But is there anything else you'd like to ask?
It was mainly just,
Nova?
I was just going to say, like, just relating back to that, like, you saying how you want your story told. I still remember when you heard, like, about Crazy Steve and him being blind and, like, him going into it more, and you were like, holy shit, like, this guy is so cool. And I'm like, kids could look up to you like that too.
I still,
like,
need, I still need to tee that up. Like,
it's
Crazy
really cool.
Steve said he wants to come on this show, but I don't know how to fuck to approach that, because, like, that's like a famous wrestler. But it was basically like, just because his eye condition is obviously a lot different to mine, but it'd just be cool to kind of compare notes as legally blind wrestlers, because people don't realize that I was dealing with all of this eye stuff before when I was still wrestling, hence why I was so fucking clumsy. But it's a half-assed excuse, but it's a legitimate excuse. But no,
you know what breaks my heart even what breaks my heart even more about Crazy Steve is when he finally got his big break and he got signed to TNA, the week that he debuted on national television, his mum passed away right before it happened.
Oh shit!
I'm like, that's just like finally he can show his mother like he's finally achieved his dream, and then that happened. It's heartbreaking.
And again, though, as you were saying, you make wrestlers human, basically.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to?
No, I think
add
that's pretty much. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
But just think though, like some kid who, without revealing personal details, may see Jake Gibson at insert shoot job here, and then just happens to go watch him on the following weekend or whatever. Like it's that thing of it's humanizing him, but it's cool to see just all the stuff and how it builds and stuff and things. And I'm not good with words and still somehow run a podcast, but
that's on you, mate. He's a good one now. How many episodes is this?
So this will be either 147 or 148, depending on schedule.
Don't know yet. Okay, yep.
So because I had one that was meant to be in the can, but I put too much effort into it, which I guess isn't a bad issue to have, so it was delayed. And then as we record this, our guest tonight, full disclosure to people listening to this because we discussed it off air before, but our guest postponed, so we're going to do that. So then I've got to work out dates of like when shows are happening and get them out in time to promote the show. So it'll either be this weekend or next weekend, so it's still going to come out, but yeah, it's be anywhere between 147 to 149 at this point.
We've had 146 to 148 episodes to get good at this.
But no, I appreciate you, not one, jumping on at such short notice, but two, shooting the shit with us for a little over an hour and telling, again, the fact that you've already been on the show and we talked for about an hour and a half then and we still barely scratched the surface, and now it's been 2.5 years later, or 2 and a bit years later, and there's still more to talk about, and even beyond there's still stuff we haven't talked about. But I really hope that this episode helps people connect with Suplex Studios, which was the main thing that I wanted to get across, and help you with that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Man, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
But no, I think I'll probably let you go and let you unwind and enjoy the rest of your evening. But just, thanks for coming on man.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure, like always. Hopefully not 2.5 years until the next time. There we go.
And I look forward to seeing you in March.
No worries, bro. Thank you very much.
It's been good chatting to you, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Nova Lee. Who did you say that was?
Representing Suplex Studios, the problem child, Jake Gibson!
Man, if that is too loud to people wearing headphones or earphones, we do apologise. But again, like the sound is so much crisper now that I've gone and updated my app, Lord forbid. And I also did play around a little with the soundboard to make it a bit more crisp because I was trying to fix it for what was mentioned in this conversation, Nova. We're going to be doing commentary. So I had a little fiddle fuck around with my soundboard to try and hopefully make it as, I'm sure
the best quality.
Sure, when Jake puts it together, he can, do a bit of editing on it. But if I can give him the best quality sound for him to just... If I can give him the best quality sound that he just literally has to slap it over the top and not worry about anything else, that's my goal. But I'm... Scale of 1 to 10, Nova, how nervous are you to do this commentary?
100. For real. Out of 10.
And I think, as I said to Jake, I think once we get into it, because it's going to be like here on the pod, we just bounce off each other.
Yeah.
I think, and you even said yourself, you've only done commentary officially once, and it was live commentary. I feel like...
And I was ring announcing at the same time,
like
so I was trying to juggle both, and it was like,
I feel like
what am I doing?
because it is like recorded, I feel like for us, that's the preference. I feel like it'll be better, like once we get into it, but...
Because I like to feel like you're the play-by-play and I'm the colour of this podcast, so it works.
Yeah, and we have obviously a bit more time to get... And because it's a retrospect, we've got a bit of information that we can give out. And
if I stuff up like I usually do, you guys don't know about it. It's not live, brother.
Honestly, my goal is to try and do it one take. I feel like we should be fine. But a lot of these people, and this is going to be something we talk about on the show, Nova, but I just want to hype up Jake and Suplex Studios' work. A lot of these people, this is a 7-year-old show.
Yes.
A lot of these people, though, are people that you, at this time the show happened, you didn't know Australian wrestling existed.
No,
right?
it was WWE or bust.
Spoiler alert, that's something that we're going to mention on that broadcast.
Yeah.
But 7 years later, a good chunk of these people are the people that you're familiar with, and a good chunk of them are people that you know and have announced their names. And
yeah. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm just nervous
there's
as
a
hell,
handful of people that you announced anyway on the ECW shows, but there's still people like, for example, Crofty, and you actually got to meet Crofty at that same show, just pure happenstance. But guys like Will Keatis, the Goober Report stuff that he did, especially with Cherry Stevens, is stuff that some of the earlier stuff that you saw from Australian wrestling when you started watching.
I didn't even know like just indie wrestling in general existed, let alone Australian indie wrestling.
A guy like Kai Drake in a ladder match. You were like, they do those in Australia? The PWA ladder match between, I think it was the Velocities and MK Ultra with Kai Drake and Spencer, I think it was.
Yes.
We don't want to go too far into it because, you know, we want to save it for the actual broadcast, but it's just so kind of cool that you're getting to be a part of this. And again, like just the contrast of when it happened, I was, the first show we're doing, the Goulburn Tournament 2, that is the one show that I actually wasn't in person for. I was not in the building for that show. I've never seen this show in its entirety. Right. So as we commentate this show, like I've skimmed through it just to kind of see without sound, just to kind of set everything up and get all the settings and everything.
Yeah.
But I've not actually watched it from start to finish. This is the one Pro Wrestling Goulburn show that I missed. So I'm very excited for this. And yeah, but I'm excited for everything Suplex Studios. I'm excited for, we'll just get into the plugs. Follow myself, follow Nova at the link trees provided. All the podcast stuff's there. The Patreon stuff's there. You can get early access on our lowest tier, the Rogue tier, Nova Lee, for as low as
$5 dues.
See, I say $5 dues in the solo episodes, but doesn't she say it's so much better?
I just got that amazing
And
voice.
of course, the $10 tier, the essential tier, $10 Australian, $6 US. If you subscribe that tier and up, cheap plug, you get my book, the first book in this 3-book miniseries for my children's. Learning the alphabet, learning about animals, animal facts. There's a lot of ideas because I'm ADHD as fuck, but in a weird way, I've made it all work. I've had a lot of great feedback, and I do appreciate that. I actually read it to Nova Lee one night.
Yes, it was really nice. It was relaxing. It's very relaxing.
And with that being said, if you go the $15 tier, eventually you will get... As I said, once I've got all 3 done, I want to have them on like Audible and I want Amazon Digital and I want physical copies. But I feel it's only fair that I control it on my own platform first. But eventually the $15 tier will get the audio version. The $15 tier also gets the watch-alongs that we do. I recently did one a couple weeks ago to the Lost ECW show that was unearthed. Nova Lee will be watching along the Royal Rumble, which will now be on camera. So we're going to pick out what outfits we're going to wear for that. I'm going to be doing a reaction to the mean one, which is the Grinch horror film. I know Christmas is over, but I'm still going to do it at some point. Regardless, we are planning on hopefully doing a rewatch of the 95 Royal Rumble match, Nova Lee, where, spoiler alert, Shawn Michaels enters at number 1 and wins. Nova Lee's aware of that, but you've never actually seen the match, and we kind of just want to do a thing where...
That I know of, because we did go through and watch a fair few, but I don't think we watched 95. That one we didn't watch,
you have seen highlights. That's the one where his foot, only the one foot.
I think it was like 2,000 upwards that I've seen.
So So that's the one where it's like the iconic clip, and it's spoiler alert, but come on, it's 30 years old, and the whole point of us watching it is we're going to basically see if it still holds up 30 years later. But it's the iconic one where it's the iconic one where Howard Finkel, only one of Shawn Michaels' feet hit the floor, because it was the confusion of was he, wasn't he. But we're going to watch the whole thing from start to finish because Shawn Michaels entered number one, and just a cheeky little bonus episode. We'll do that in the next couple of weeks. Got the Markapalooza one coming out. But of course, the big one is the $20 tier, which is called
the Supernova tier.
So you'll get all of that, plus you'll get shout-outs during that whole month in the intro and outro. And also so I'm working on doing a giveaway for the podcast, actually, which is going to be open for everyone. I'm announcing it here. If we can get up to 500 likes, I know that it's a ways away because we're only halfway to 300. I was originally going to say 300, but I was like, fuck it. If we can get to 500 likes, Nova Lee has one as well. If we get divorced, she just gets to keep hers. I have a signed Edge plaque from 2K20, the video game, and that was a disaster in its own right. But the plaque itself, I was going to try and sell it, but I've decided that if we can boost this podcast, I will do a giveaway on Facebook with one of the spinny wheels and the names and the fun stuff and all that fun stuff. So yeah, if we can get to 500 likes on Facebook and preferably 500 followers on Instagram as well, but I'm aiming it more at the Facebook page, I will be giving away that. I'll pay for shipping. It's only going to cost me probably $15-20 to ship. It's only open to people in Australia, unfortunately. Sorry to people like Sean in Canada and our listeners in the US, but I can't afford international shipping. I don't have that giant coyote money. But yeah, I'm doing a giveaway. But the whole point is, if we can get enough people on the $20 subscription, I want to do Patreon exclusive giveaways. Because I have a lot of wrestling memorabilia that I'm trying to move and I'm trying to ship. And some of it, is like $100-ish. One person maybe can't afford that, but if I have 5 people sub, that's $100 right there.
Yeah.
So if I put all 5 of those subs in a little hat or a wheel, one of those people.
Yeah.
And again, I'll take a hit. It'll take the $15-20 shipping hit. That's fine. But yeah, I want to try and build up some subs regardless of it. Yeah. Bottom line is $5. But Nova Lee, very exciting shows coming up. Obviously, Jake was talking here. February 8th. Suplex Season 3, Chapter 1 against JB Hazard. I cannot wait to see the footage of that. The link to that one will be in the description below.
Phenomenal.
Fast forward to the end of February. MXW in Geelong, February 28th, March 1st, 2-night doubleheader, WrestleFest 2. Former WWE superstar Brian Kendrick and his match for Night 2 has been announced. Scotty Roach, former MXW heavyweight champion. I believe Black Roach Reserve are actually former MXW tag champions as well, off the top of my head. Still awaiting Brian's opponent for Night 1, but I'm sure it'll be an absolute cracker regardless. I'm sure all the guys and girls on that roster are going to learn a hell of a lot from him. I know he's been a bit of a controversial figure in the last few years, but I cannot wait to see footage from that either. Tickets to that below. Obviously, March 1st for us, Nova, is the big one as well in New South Wales / ACT, because it's in Queanbeyan, but it's literally right on the border. It's near the airport. So if you're in New South Wales, if you're in ACT, come have a great night. As we said on the show, main event, Jay Gibson, Doomslayer. I cannot wait to do our preview episode for that event. And I'm sure Jake will probably he didn't say yay or nay as to whether he'd hijack that episode, but I've got a feeling that he probably will. But yeah, links for that will be in the below. The following week, ICW Insane Asylum, March 8th, Belconnen, link for that below. And then we'll fast forward, we'll time travel, if you will, all the way from March to November 1st. The 3rd Emma Butler Memorial Show. Tickets for that are in the description below as well. And I believe the last time I checked, I think the final ticket count was, I think there's only 55 tickets remaining.
That's not bad.
Like,
That's not bad.
we've already sold about 20, 30 tickets already.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know the exact numbers. And then obviously the actual, where I'm sitting up on commentary, probably with Craig again, we'll have the corporate seats next to us as well. So I've got a feeling this church is going to be pretty well packed, Novalee.
Definitely.
We do still have a bunch of Radiation Kick shirts here. $30 each, $10 goes to Emma's charity. If you want it posted, it's $40 postage for one and $45 postage for two, and et cetera, et cetera. Like if you order an astronomical number, we'll have to work it out. But I'm taking a hit for that as well, because just the standard shirt's about $15 shipping, but I'm only charging $10. So I'm taking a $5 hit. You get a cool shirt. Emma's charity gets $10. Whatever. But yeah, whatever I've got left, I'll just take to care anyway. But yeah, I'm very excited for that show. But I'm excited for everything that Jake's got coming up, and I'm especially excited for Suplex Studios and the fact that I've been asked by the people at Pro Wrestling Goulburn and Suplex Studio if I'd like to be in on this, as I think I indirectly kind of got like the hometown hero kind of rub. I don't know if using the word heroes too up myself, but I think I've kind of being a Goulburn native, as he's put on the back of the because he's revealed the cover for the DVD on socials, what it's going to look like. It says commentary by host of Courting Conversation and Goulburn native John L. Crossfire. Obviously, I was originally going to be doing it solo, and I was like, no, I've got to bring Nova in.
You got to have that voice.
Got to have the big guns. But no, I'm very honoured that as a Goulburn native, even though I haven't lived there for quite a number of years now, that I'm going to be a part of this project, and cannot wait for many more. And the fact that he said that they're doing the Pro Wrestling Goulburn show that had Mr. Juicy on it as well. I don't know if I'm going to be a part of that one or not, but shit, I'll put my hand up.
Yeah.
Of course, Gino Gambino, member of the Bullet Club. Kellyanne was on that show. I was front row for that show. There was Kellyanne versus Bindi Valentine. Those two girls chopped the shit out of each other. They had handprints all over the tatas, and I was just like, ouchie.
That's gotta hurt.
And my Mama Crossfire was hardcore fangirling for Kellyanne, and I don't blame her, because I was hardcore fangirling for Kellyanne as well. And Bindi, my bad. Bindi, what are words? Buy the t-shirt. But yeah, Novalee, if you'd like to repeat the song and match of the week, I think I've done all the plugs. I hope I've done all the plugs. I've done lots of ranting. Everything. I'm sorry. There's lots of stuff going on right now in our lives, Novalee, and the fact that I've got you back now, I'm just like, you're on the podcast. Let's go another hour.
So your song of the week for episode 148 rather. Whoa.
I'm going to leave that in too.
Was again Thunderstruck by AC/DC, and your match was Jake Gibson versus Ace Shack at ECW Survival of the Sickest, January 13th, 2024.
And it's been over a year, and my brain cannot compute. But with that being said, thank you to Jake for coming on. Jake came on with like 40 minutes notice, and that included like in his real life, putting his children down and doing whatever else he had to do. So that was awesome. But yeah,
so good.
The advertised episode with Trauma and Integrity should still come out next week following this episode. We've teed it back up, provided no more storms and technical issues and family issues and for people involved and whatever. But it's life. It is what it is. But I am the Essential John L. Crossfire,
and I am Novalee.
You were just caught
in conversation. Shakalaka. Teddy Sprinkles.
I was waiting for you to say it because
I thought you'd want to say it, but anyway.
Shakalaka.
Teddy Sprinkles.